Hello friends, today we will be discussing about the proportions of worm gear. So before the proportions, we have already discussed about the worm and worm gear basics, then the material, then the advantages and disadvantages for worm and worm wheel, and then the terminology Z1, Z2, QM, and the basic terms like axial piece, lead angle, these all terms we have discussed. And now we will be discussing about the proportions of worm gear. So refer in the figure the proportions of worm gear. If you refer the diagram, the worm and worm wheel is shown. So if I refer this particular diagram, this is worm, and for the worm, the different dimensions are shown. The dimensions are D1, the pitch circle diameter for worm, DA1, addendum circle diameter, DF1, dedendum circle diameter for worm. HA1 is the distance, this particular distance is said as addendum, and whatever the distance shown here, HF1, this particular distance is HF1, it is nothing but the dedendum. Px, we have already discussed the axial pitch and gamma angle, lead angle. Okay, so this is the different terms which are represented in the diagram as far as worm is concerned. Now let us see about the worm wheel. So for understanding purpose, the side view of, here you can refer the side view of this worm wheel, worm is taken, and now here you can refer the worm wheel. So here D2 is the pitch circle diameter of the worm wheel. HA1 is the addendum of the worm wheel, and HF2 is the dedendum of the worm wheel, HA2 and HF2. So pitch circle diameter plus 2 times addendum, it will give you DA2 addendum circle diameter, and pitch circle diameter minus 2 times dedendum, it will give you dedendum circle diameter. This is about the worm wheel. So in this pair worm and worm wheel, these are the terminologies shown. Now we will be discussing about the different formulas for HA1 and HF1, means addendum and dedendum for worm, pitch circle diameter for worm, addendum and dedendum circle diameters for worm, and all these things for worm wheel also. So let us start one by one. This is nothing, this is about the tooth proportions. So the basic dimensions of worm and worm wheel are as shown in the figure. We have already discussed what are the different dimensions that are represented in the diagram, and now HA1 is equal to M. So these are for worm. So now I will write here HA1 is nothing but, just now I have explained you, addendum. HA1 is equal to nothing but module. Then dedendum, HF1 is equal to 2.2 cos of gamma minus 1 into module, and C is nothing but the clearance. We already discussed all these terms. What is HA1, addendum, dedendum, and clearance for a gear. Where it is clear cut mention, HA1 addendum, HF1 dedendum, and C is the clearance. Now if we are having the addendum and dedendum, then we can easily calculate the addendum circle diameter and dedendum circle diameter. As we are having the relation, addendum circle diameter is equal to PCD plus 2 times addendum, and dedendum circle diameter is equal to PCD minus 2 times dedendum. So let us write down these all things for worm. So the outside and root, here see, not it is mentioned addendum. So it is mentioned the outside diameter, nothing but the addendum, and root diameter, nothing but the dedendum. So outside diameter is given by outside diameter DA1 is equal to pitch circle diameter plus 2 times addendum. So pitch circle diameter is given by QM. B1 we have already discussed. We are having Q is equal to D1 divided by M, the diameter quotient. Therefore, I can write d1 is equal to q into m. So qm plus 2 into m. So taking m common, I can say outside diameter is equal to m into bracket q plus 2. Outside diameter is equal to m into bracket q plus 2. Similarly, let us write down for the root diameter. Let us write down for the root diameter df1. df1 is equal to pitch circle diameter minus 2 times dedendum. So qm pitch circle diameter minus dedendum we have discussed 2m into bracket 2.2 cos gamma minus 1. So taking m common, you can write the root diameter as df1 is equal to m into bracket q plus 2 minus 4.4 cos of gamma. So these are the outside diameter and root diameter for worm. So these are the dimensions we have discussed for worm. Similarly, the dimensions can be further calculated for worm wheel also. So in this case, if you refer the addendum HA2 and HF2, the addendum and dedendum for worm wheel are expressed. So I will write here addendum at the throat and dedendum at the median plane. So if you see here, so these are the lines for which it is explained, addendum at the throat and dedendum at the median plane. So it is explained. So HA2, the addendum is m into bracket 2 cos gamma minus 1. These are the tooth proportions. So I will say here addendum HA2 is equal to m into bracket 2 cos gamma minus 1 and dedendum HF2 is equal to m into bracket 1 plus 0.2 cos of gamma. So these are the addendum and dedendum for worm wheel. So now if we are having the addendum and dedendum for worm wheel, we can easily calculate the different dimensions. So DA2, it is nothing but it is called as the throat diameter. It is called as the throat diameter. Another is called as the root diameter. So throat diameter, it is equal to nothing but pitch circle diameter plus 2 times addendum. So pitch circle diameter for worm wheel is nothing but m into Z2 plus 2 times addendum m into bracket 2 cos gamma minus 1. So just to go for simplification, we will get the DA2, that root diameter is equal to m into bracket Z2 plus 4 cos gamma minus 2. Similarly, the root diameter DF2 is equal to here D2, it should be here minus D2 minus twice HF2, so MZ2 minus twice M into bracket 1 plus 0.2 cos of gamma. So you will get the root diameter DF2 is equal to M into bracket Z2 minus 2 minus 0.4 cos of gamma, just a simplification of the above term. So in this way, we can calculate the addendum, dedendum for worm and worm wheel and the different diameters, that outside diameter and root diameter for worm and throat diameter and root diameter for worm wheel. So these are the dimensions which are mentioned here for worm wheel. Okay, so let us proceed further. By referring to the diagram proportions of the tooth, we have calculated the addendum, dedendum, then outside diameter and root diameter for worm and addendum, dedendum, throat diameter and root diameter for worm wheel. Now after having all these, let us proceed further. The effective face width EF of the worm wheel is shown in the figure. See, if you refer the diagram, in the diagram, the effective phase width F is shown. So if you see the F effective phase width, how it is obtained? It is obtained by drawing a tangent to each circle diameter. So if you refer to the diagram, it is a enlarged view. So you can say D1. So this is your pitch circle diameter, and at this point, a tangent is drawn, and that tangent is nothing but, if you refer the diagram, the tangent is nothing but A B. The tangent is nothing but AB. If the tangent is drawn to the pitch circle diameter, A and B are the point of intersection of the tangent and outside diameter of the worm. What are these points A and B? So A and B are the points where the tangent is intersecting the outside diameter of the worm. So see here, this is the outside diameter A and outside diameter B. So where the tangent is intersecting the outside diameter, that 2 points are considered here. Okay. So you can see here the outside diameter is mentioned as DA1. Outside diameter is mentioned as DA1. From triangle AOC. So consider triangle whatever is mentioned here. So I will highlight point A, point O, and point C. See, this triangle is considered. So here AC square is equal to AO square minus OC square. So simple Pythagoras theorem is here. AC square is equal to AO minus OC square. AC is nothing but F divided by 2. So I will mention here AC is nothing but F divided by 2. AO is nothing but DA1. So see here AO, it is the outside diameter DA1. So I can say it is nothing but DA1 by 2, and OC is nothing but a pitch circle radius. So I will call it as D1 by 2. So F by 2 is equal to DA1 by 2 square minus D1 by 2 square. So if you refer and if you substitute the values, we are having value for DA1, we are having value for D1. So M into bracket Q plus 2 divided by 2 bracket square minus QM by 2 bracket square. So if you solve, you will get the F, I will call it as the phase width. F is equal to twice M into bracket Q plus 1. Very important, this formula. F is equal to twice M into bracket Q plus 1. This is the phase width. Okay. Now from triangle OZ1C. Now see here again, I will highlight. This is the point O. This is the Z. And this is the point C1. So this triangle is considered, and the angle which is mentioned here, I will mention this angle as delta. So sine of delta is equal to C1Z divided by OZ. So C1Z is nothing but again F by 2. C1Z is nothing but F by 2. And what is OZ? So OZ is nothing but T up to OA and OB. We will call it as DA1. So whatever the distance is there, it is nothing but clearance. So clearance on both the sides. So the diameter will become DA1 plus 2C. But I want OZ as the radius. So it will be DA1 plus 2C divided by 2. So very simple. OZ is nothing but DA1 plus 2C divided by 2. So delta is equal to sine inverse of 2 get cancel F divided by DA1 plus twice C. Very simple. So this is F and delta we have calculated. F and delta we have calculated. Now last point, the length of radius or length of arc x, y, z. See here I will mention, I will highlight in the diagram only the length of arc x, y and z. So see here, this is your point x, this is your point y, and this is your point z. So I will highlight x, y, z, x, y, z. So the length of the root of worm wheel teeth is the arc xyz, which is denoted by, now the length of arc is calculated by arc xyz is equal to, the basic formula is used, the angle, if I refer the angle, this one side angle is delta. So this total angle, it will become delta plus delta, 2 delta. So 2 delta divided by 2 pi into bracket pi into dA1 plus 2c. dA1 plus 2c is the radius up to that particular point. So pi to 2 get cancel, you will get dA1 plus 2c into delta. But we are having the value for delta as sine inverse of f divided by dA1 plus 2c. So if I will substitute the value of delta here, if I will substitute the value of delta here, then I will get LR. LR is the length of root of the worm wheel. LR is equal to dA1 plus 2c sine inverse of. So this is your formula for LR, the length of root, length of arc. So in this way we can proceed. So here in this particular bit, the tooth proportions, we have discussed about the basic diagram, then we have calculated the addendum, dedendum and clearance. And the addendum, or I can say the outside and root diameter for worm, then the throat and root diameter for worm wheel. Then we have discussed about the face width and then the angle delta. And finally we have calculated the length of arc, length of root by using the formula length of arc. Okay, so this is about tooth proportions. Let us proceed further about the force analysis. The force analysis of worm gear. So friends, I want to highlight here, we have discussed the force analysis of spur gear, helical gear and bevel gear. There are different components like P, T, PA, PR or many times PS separating component, and it is further resolved into two. But we have not considered in any of the force analysis any component due to frictional forces. This is the first case or worm wheel. In worm wheel we will discuss the frictional forces also, and we have to superimpose the frictional forces into main force analysis. Superimpose means what? If it is in the direction of the considered force, add it. If it is opposite to the direction of our force, subtract it. So this is the superimposing. Here we have to superimpose these frictional forces. So that's why this force analysis is somewhat different. So let us start the force analysis of worm gears. The analysis of three components of resultant root force between the meshing teeth of worm and worm wheel is based on the following assumptions. So there are assumptions. The worm is the driving element while the worm wheel is the driven element. So generally this is the case. The worm is the driving and worm wheel is the driven element. The worm has the right-handed threads and the worm rotates in anti-clockwise direction as shown in figure. These are the some of the assumptions considered. The worm is the driving element while the worm wheel is the driven. The worm has right-handed threads and the worm rotates in anti-clockwise direction as shown in figure. So this is the force analysis for worm and worm wheel. The three components on the gear tooth force between the worm and worm wheel are as shown in figure. The suffix 1 is used for the worm and the suffix 2 is used for the worm wheel. So these are the worm components I will highlight in the diagram. The two views of worm, and here if you consider the worm wheel. So referring to the diagram, friends, there are three components. Now here 1 and 2 suffix are used. So P1A, P1T and P1R. So P1T is the tangential component. It is opposite to the direction of rotation and it is driving element. Therefore, P1T is in opposite direction as shown in the figure here. P1A axial component and P1R radial component for the worm. The radial component is always directed toward the center and the axial component is shown here, P1A. The similar components are P2. So if you refer the P2T, the tangential component is always in the direction of motion. I am highlighting here in the direction of motion. So this is your P2T. The P2R is radial component is directing toward the center and the P2A is the axial component. So if you refer to the diagram, before proceeding further, I want to highlight P1R is equal to P2R. Referring to diagram, see here, P1A is equal to P2T and P2A is equal to P1T. So try to interconnect, try to disconnect these two equations. So once again, I will highlight P1R is equal to P2R, no problem by referring to the diagram. But here, in this case, your P2T will be equal to P1A if you take the opposite component, and your P2A will be equal to P1T. So in this way, the force analysis will be there. Let us proceed further for actual force analysis component and finding out the components of the force analysis. The components P2T, P2A and P2R acting on the worm wheel are defined in the similar way I have shown in the diagram. And the force acting on the worm wheel is equal and opposite reaction of the force acting on the worm. Force acting on the worm wheel is equal and opposite to force acting on the worm. Therefore, here only R is the same. P2R is equal to P1R. Otherwise, P2T is equal to P1A and P2A is equal to P1T. That's I have highlighted. So if you refer here, P1A is equal to P2T and P2T is equal to P1A. So what is mentioned here, refer P2A is equal to P1T. So this is the relation mentioned here. P2A is equal to P1T and P2T is equal to P1A or P1A is equal to P2. So this is the relation mentioned. So this I already explained. In the present analysis, force analysis, the expressions are derived for the components of force acting on the worm. The expressions are derived for worm. The components of force acting on the worm wheel can be determined by using the above relation. So if the forces on the worm, that is P1A, P1T and P1 are calculated, then by using the above relationship that is mentioned here, by using these relations, we can easily calculate the component on worm wheel. So let us proceed further. This is the diagram for force analysis for worm. So if you refer here, the resultant force acting on the worm consists of two components. So a pitch helix, along the pitch helix a point is considered and it is Assume that the resultant force P is acting here. Okay, so this angle is gamma, the angle is shown. Okay, this angle is alpha. Okay, the component of, there are two types of forces, the component of normal reaction between the meshing teeth. So this diagram is for normal reaction between meshing teeth and components of frictional force that I will highlight afterwards. So this is the component of frictional force diagram. So we will first concentrate. So whatever the force analysis we have discussed for here before, different cases like spur gear or helical gear or bevel gear, like this force analysis we have discussed. So this is based on the normal reaction component. So if you refer, there are three major components in the diagram. So if you refer, this is the first component in the diagram. So this is nothing but the axial component. Then this is the radial component. And this is the tangential component. So these are the three components acting shown, the direction of motion is shown. And then this diagram is concerned. Then the Pn is the normal component. And whatever the diagram constructed, the two parts of the diagram are taken for analysis. So very first I will take A, B, C, D. See here what I am highlighting. Point A. So if you see, I am highlighting point A, point B, point C, and point D. So if you take this A, B, C, and D, and if I will construct, then it will be like this, whatever I have taken. So here A, B, C, D. This angle is alpha. This is PR. This is PN. And this is the resultant force P. Okay. Then if I consider the other EBAF, so I will consider EBF, and A, the upper side. So I can write here this angle as the gamma, this angle as the gamma, and AB is nothing but it is representing PT, therefore it is mentioned here PT. Then the below one in the middle it is PN, and whatever AF, it is nothing but representing PA. So like this the diagram can be shown or it can be modified. Okay, so these are the two diagrams considered from this figure, and now let us proceed for the further calculations or further write-up by using these diagrams. So here you can see the components of normal reaction P as is shown in figure. Alpha is the pressure angle while gamma is the lead angle, and alpha in the plane A, B, C, D, and gamma in the top plane A, B, F. So here it is mentioned that in this particular plane there is angle alpha, and in this another plane there is angle gamma. So by using this figure I can say cos of alpha is equal to, I will highlight here for your understanding purpose, cos of alpha is equal to Pn divided by P, therefore Pn is equal to P cos alpha. Here sin of alpha is equal to PR divided by P, therefore PR is equal to P sin alpha. Similarly, if the plane AABF is considered, in the first case ABCD is considered. So if the plane AABF is considered, So here you can highlight. Again, I will use the same relationships. Cos of alpha is equal to PA. This as PA means I can call this also as PA. So PA divided by PN. So it will give PA is equal to PN cos gamma. So it's not alpha. So I will call here cos of gamma, and sin of gamma is equal to the opposite side, Pt divided by Pn. Therefore, Pt is equal to Pn sin gamma. So whatever that planes shown in this particular diagram, the same planes are taken for analysis, and we have arrived at the Pn and Pa relationship. Then the substituting value of Pn I can write. So if I substitute the value of Pn in Pr and Pt, then the equations can be modified as Pn is equal to P cos alpha. So Pa will become P cos alpha sin gamma. Sorry, Pt will become. So if I will substitute the values here, so this is your Pt will become P cos alpha sin gamma. Pa will become P cos alpha cos gamma, and Pr is equal to P sin alpha. So Pr as it is, just substituting the value, we can say this Pn value I am highlighting. So this Pn value is substituted here, and what is the Pn value? P cos alpha. So your Pt will become, I will highlight here only, your Pt will become P cos alpha sin gamma, and Pa P cos alpha cos gamma. The same things are written here. Okay, then now this is based on the normal reaction. Now frictional force is significant in this case. The motion is due to sliding, and the frictional force is significant in case of worm gear due to sliding motion between the thread and the teeth of the worm wheel, as compared to rolling motion between pinion and gear or other gears. So in worm and worm wheel only we are considering, or we are saying that there is a sliding motion, and due to this sliding motion there is a friction, and we have to consider the frictional force. We have not considered this frictional force in any of the other case per helical or bevel gear. Due to sliding motion, we have to consider the frictional force. So now we will decide the component due to this frictional force, and whatever the component will be there, it will be superimposed to the others. So now see here, this is the direction of motion shown. Frictional force is always opposite to the direction of motion. So this is your mu p is your frictional force. This angle is gamma. So here it is mu p cos gamma and mu p sin gamma. Very simple. These are the two forces, mu p cos gamma and mu p sin gamma. So this is based on components of frictional force. So I will say here, it is already mentioned. This is the diagram for components of frictional force. Now we are having the components as Pa, Pt and Pr. We are also having the components of frictional force. So what we have to go for? So here, very simple. There are two components of frictional force. So very first component is mu p cos of gamma. So see this component, mu p cos of gamma. It is in tangential direction. It is in tangential direction. So our Pt is in this direction, and mu p cos gamma, I will show you the direction of Pt. So see, Pt is in this direction. If you refer here, the direction of Pt. So Pt is in this direction, and the mu p cos gamma is also in the same direction. Therefore, this mu p cos gamma will be added in Pt. I will give a guideline to you. This is in the same direction as that of Pt, same direction. Okay, another component mu p sin of gamma. See this component, mu p sin of gamma. So if you see this mu p sin gamma, our Pa is in this direction. I will give you highlights. See our PA, the direction of PA. And now I will highlight here, this is our direction of PA. This is my direction of PT for your understanding. So mu P cos gamma will be added to PT, and mu P sin gamma, it is opposite direction to PA. So it will be subtracted minus from this component. So superimposing the component. Superimposing means what? The frictional component which are in the direction of PT and PA, they will be added, and which are opposite to the direction, they will be subtracted. So now P1T is equal to P cos alpha sin gamma. This is the component we have calculated from normal reaction, and the mu P cos of gamma is in the same direction, therefore it is added. Taking P common, P1T, we will get this expression for P1T. Then P1A, this is the component from normal reaction, the axial component, and here you can refer mu P sin gamma is opposite direction, therefore this mu P sin gamma is subtracted minus, and taking P common, you will get this mu P sin gamma, and this is third one. Now friends, we have calculated P1T is equal to P into, P1A is equal to P into, and P1R is equal to P into. What is this P? Whether we are having the value of this P? If you want to calculate the force, whether we are having the value of P? No. So we will get PT from MT. So there is only one option, convert all equations into PT. So how I can convert all equations into PT? So I will go for very first option. So here PT is equal to, I can say PT, I can calculate like this, twice MT by D. So I will calculate PT. So what is mentioned, what is next step here? So what they have done, they have gone for P1A divided by P1T. The right side will become like this, and then P1T taken on the other side. Therefore, P1A is equal to P1T into whatever is there. So for converting all the terms into PT, I will give guideline here. It is done like this. One, we will go one as example. P1A divided by P1T. P1A divided by P1T. So cos alpha cos gamma minus mu sin gamma. So if you see here, I will go for P into bracket. First I will solve P1A cos alpha cos gamma minus mu sin of gamma, and divided by P1T, I can say cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos gamma. Cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos gamma. So I will take P common here, and I will say cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos of gamma. So PP will become cancelled, and you will get P1A is equal to P1T into whatever the terms, it will as it is. So in this way it is modified, and it is written as P1A is equal to P1T into cos alpha cos gamma minus mu sin gamma divided by cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos gamma. Similarly, for the another case, it is mentioned as P1R divided by P1T is equal to, and then P1T on another side. So you will get P1R is equal to P1T into sin alpha divided by cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos of gamma. Very simple. So in this way, these terms are calculated. So second term is calculated as, I will highlight here, P1 R divided by P1T, and you will get the answer. Okay. So I will say P1R P sin alpha divided by P1T, P into bracket, cos alpha cos gamma minus just substitute the value of P1T, P into bracket, cos alpha sin gamma plus mu cos of gamma. So PP will get cancelled. You will get P1R is equal to P1T into. The same expression is mentioned here. So how this expression arrived for understanding purpose, I have given you the idea. So here, this is the, I can say, tangential component of force. Axial component of force and radial component of force. So in this way, you can calculate these three components, and these all components very important. They are for worm. So if it is asked, you will write. This is very important. If you solve the complete problem and if you miss the last step, then also you may miss 2 marks. So here P2R is equal to P1R, P2T is equal to P1A, and P2A is equal to P1T. This is the additional, this I have explained here. So P2T, P1A, P2A, P1T. Like this you have to mention, and then only you will get the complete mark. So in this way you have to solve. So you can calculate the P1T, P1A and P1R. These are the components of worm. And then you have to write the components of wormhole just as the expression shown. So friends, we have discussed about the force analysis and the components in this particular force analysis.